Welcome back to Discovery Diaries. In today's episode, we're back in South Africa, but this time we're going to travel along the beautiful garden route. Here there was an abundance of wildlife and spectacular nature that I would love to show you. I started my journey in Cape Town, one of 3 capital cities in South Africa. I then got the backpackers bus along the garden route, going to Mossel Bay, Storms River, and finally Port Elizabeth. Look at those roads along the edge of the mountain. There were so many stunning views as we drove along. First up, Cape Town. I hiked 3,563 feet above sea level. I could see waterfalls and stunning views. This mountain in Cape Town is one of the oldest mountains in the world. The rocks are over 600 million years old. When you get to the top, the mountain has a flat top. That's why it's called Table Mountain. Look at the stunning views across Cape Town. When I was in Cape Town, I decided to go and visit a nearby beach. The beach was called Boulders Beach. A boulder is another name for a large rock, and this beach had plenty of them. But you'll never guess what I saw when I got there. Protecting themselves from the strong wind and the stormy seas were colonies of African penguins. They have stiff, flat wings, like flippers. That makes them a really good swimmer. African penguins can't fly, but they can hold their breath for 2 minutes, and they have waterproof feathers. Unfortunately, due to habitat destruction, pollution, overfishing and irresponsible tourists, African penguins are now endangered. It's quite incredible to think that not all birds lay their nests in trees. In fact, African penguins lay their nests in the rocks, in the sand and under bushes. Boulders Beach is now a protected area. They've built boardwalks for visitors to keep the penguins safe. I'm not sure you really want to know this, but African penguins sometimes build their nests using their own excrement. Yes, they build their nests using their own poo. Next up, Mossel Bay. When I was in Mossel Bay, I went to my first ever game reserve. A game reserve is a large piece of land where they protect the wildlife that lives inside it. It means that they can still live naturally, but they can make sure that the animals are safe. This is the cool truck that we drove around in. The safari truck I went on had a special seat on the end of the bonnet. Here I had the perfect view to try and spot all of the wildlife around. It was really bumpy. It was, of course, on this seat where one of my most special moments happened. It was also here where I was privileged enough to see the world's largest land mammal, the African elephant. Notice its ears are the shape of Africa. Did you know that when a baby elephant calf is 1 year old, it loses its baby tusks and grows grown-up ones? A bit like humans when we lose our baby teeth and grow our grown-up teeth. This elephant is using its trunk to pick up food and put it in its mouth. But they also use their trunks for other things, like smelling or breathing or looking after their young and, of course, sucking up water. Next up, Storms River. If you go on holiday or you go somewhere new, of course you need somewhere to stay. This is called accommodation. There are lots of different types of accommodation that you can choose from. You might decide to stay at a friend's house or go to a B&B. You might go camping or rent a house. You could stay in a hotel. But another really great option, especially if you're travelling on your own, is to stay in a hostel. Hostels are so much fun to stay in. You can choose anything from your own private room to a big shared room with loads of bunk beds in it. They have their kitchen area, they have a living room area, so you can really make yourself at home. And of course, they are the perfect place to make loads of new friends. This is one of my favourite hostels that I ever stayed in. I love how the bunk beds are 3 beds high and they're made out of tree branches. I also loved all the messages everywhere around all the rooms. So many fun memories have been made here. Here's the really cool outdoor area with hammocks and even a campfire area. They even had a pet goat. I made some really great friends here and we decided to go exploring in the mountains. Here we found spectacular views over Storms River. We carefully climbed down the rocks. We walked across the rickety bridge. And wow! And that is why Storms River is my favourite place. Of course, amongst the peaceful nature, there was so much fun there too. And to my final stop, Port Elizabeth. On the backpackers bus travelling from Storms River to Port Elizabeth, the sunset actually looked like the one from Lion King. Look at the vibrant colours. When I got to Port Elizabeth, I got to go to another game reserve. But this time, I was going to volunteer. Volunteering is when you work for free and you don't get money for it. But trust me, I didn't need money for this. It was nothing but a privilege working with the Big Five. The Big Five are famous because they are large and dangerous mammals. They're really difficult to find. The Big Five include rhino, buffalo, leopard, elephant, and of course, lion. The South African bush isn't just home to the Big Five, it's also a habitat for lots of other animals too. Zebras, giraffes, warthogs, wildebeest, ostriches, all kinds of really cool animals. One of the most important jobs when I was volunteering at the game reserve was to monitor the animals. That meant that we had to go on game drives, driving around the game reserves to check that the animals are okay. Here we had to do counts to count how many animals we saw, and it helped us to check for poachers too. Of course, different animals are active at different times in the day, so that meant that we had to go out on the game drives at different times. Sometimes we would get up so early, we'd be up at dawn. It was amazing to catch the sunrise over the South African bush. Here are some wildebeest. A group of wildebeest is called a confusion. Now that is confusing. Oh look, zebras! Over 90% of their diet is made up of grass. Although in this food chain, the zebra becomes prey for this fierce predator. A lion's tongue is so coarse that it can rip meat straight off the bone. Lions live in groups called prides, often with about 30 lions in them. Despite being powerful hunters, lions actually spend 16 to 20 hours a day sleeping. Hippos are considered to be one of the world's deadliest animals. That's because they are so aggressive and unpredictable. They can even snap a canoe boat in half with their jaw. This rhino doesn't seem fazed though. The nighttime safaris were pretty amazing too. Rhinos are on the brink of extinction due to humans killing them, often for their horns. In 2018, at least 2 rhinos were killed by poachers every day. The safari rangers work so hard to protect the rhino, and recently, numbers being poached has decreased. As well as monitoring the animals, we also had another important job to do. This involved trying to stop the alien plant species from spreading. It was called a prickly pear cactus. A strange name, really, considering that it doesn't grow pears. It actually grows fruit, and the fruit are called tuna. Prickly pear cactus are not native to South Africa. They're native to Mexico, which means that they are an invasive species. They had spread everywhere, and they were using water and nutrients, which was messing up the ecosystems. It was our job to chop them down with a machete. What a beautiful place. We really have seen so many amazing things along the garden route. The sea may look beautiful, calm and peaceful, but don't be fooled. This is the habitat to great white sharks. Really hope you've enjoyed coming along the garden route with me this week. I bet you'll agree that the nature is spectacular and the animals just incredible. Join me on Discovery Diaries next Tuesday, where I'll be in Thailand, a country in Asia, where I volunteered with a family who had pet elephants. They learned how to live more sustainably by recycling elephant dung to make poo paper. See you next Tuesday for more Discovery Diaries adventures. Thanks for watching.